you doing? Today, I'm going to cook my favorite pasta dish, clams and linguini. Now, this recipe was taught to me many years ago when I worked in my cousin Ricky's restaurant, 6th Street Seafood in North Wildwood, New Jersey. Now, my cousin Ricky's a little stunad, but that Mama Luke knows how to cook, I tell you what. Anyway, let's get started, okay? You're going to need some ingredients. You're going to need some garlic, okay? Minced garlic, okay? You're also going to need some parsley, okay? Very important. You're going to need some olive oil, okay? You got to have the olive oil. You're going to need a little lemon, okay? You're going to need some onion powder, right? And then you're going to need some clams and linguini, right? I mean, you can't make clams and linguini without actually having clams and linguini, all right? So I got the linguini's already cooked over here. You know, I've been working on that, but this is the clams. Now listen, on the clams, you got to get the chopped clams, not minced clams. You know what I'm talking about? You got to do that, all right? Because if you don't do that, then the minced clams are like tiny, and they're like, you can't even tell them from the garlic. They get stuck in your teeth. It's just messed up, all right? Either go with whole clams and chop them yourself, or get the can of chopped clams, all right? That'll work. Okay, so, and listen, do me a favor. When you make clams and linguini, use linguini, all right? Not spaghetti, okay? You can't do clams and spaghetti. That's a sin. You got to go to confession for that, all right? Clams, go with linguini. Just like provolone goes with a hoagie, all right? Don't make me tell you that again. You understand? All right, so step one, you had to get your water boiling and you got your pasta in there. And I already took that step, right? Because this is a TV show and I don't have time to mess around, all right? You know what I'm saying? So that's, but you want to get that in real life, right? You want to get that cooking good because once this sauce is ready to go, you don't want to wait on the pasta. You'll ruin everything, all right? So you get that going well in advance, all right? So the next thing you want to do is you got to get your clams open, okay? You got to open the can, all right? And speaking of the can, I did several years in the can, but it's a different thing. But anyway, you want to open the can and get those ready to go, which I am doing right now as we speak. All right? And then what you got to do after this is you got to get some olive oil in your pan. So the can's ready to go. We're going to put a little olive oil in the pan. We want to set this on like a medium heat. You know what I'm saying? Medium. I'll tell you why. It's important. So we'll talk about that in a second. All right. So you want to put some olive oil in there, okay? You want to put just enough to maybe cover the bottom of the pan. You understand me? Do not put too much olive oil. If there's one thing I hate, it's people that make their clams linguini and it just tastes like olive oil. Olive oil. Maron. Give me a break. Just a little bit. Don't overdo it, all right? So the next thing you want to do is you let that get a little hot. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to let it get too hot, all right? So you let that go, and then what you do is you go get a spoon, because I haven't got a spoon, all right? So you get the spoon, you put some garlic in there, okay? In that olive oil, okay? Now, when I learned this many years ago at Cousin Ricky's restaurant, I asked him, he was teaching me, you know, and I asked him, how do I know if I put too much garlic in? You know what he said? He said, you'll never put too much garlic in. There's never too much garlic, which was good advice, you know what I'm saying? So you put a lot of garlic in there, okay? You put as much as you want. You know why? Because it's going to taste great, and you'll keep, you know, Dracula away. If he comes into your neighborhood, he's going to pass right by your house. But, you know, you get that cooking in the olive oil, which is very important. And listen, speaking of olive oil, you remember Popeye's old lady olive oil? Man, I never figured out what he saw in her. You mean, talk about your facia brute. I'll tell you what, man. I mean, this guy had some guns on him, you know. He was built. He could have had any broad in the neighborhood back then. You know, and I could have used some of his skills, you know, because of how big and strong he was when I was collecting. And you know, what about that kid, Sweet Pea? I swear that kid had no feet. At least I never seen any feet. I just saw that long pajama thing. He was probably a mutant. You know, I bet you that came from olive oil side. All right, remember what I told you? Here's a very important thing. You see this is cooking up right here, right? You absolutely do not want to overcook the garlic, okay? You don't want to overcook this garlic because it's going to taste horrible. It's better for you to throw it out. So once you get the garlic going, it gets a little bit brown. That's all you want, a little bit brown, okay? And then you're going to put some parsley in there, like so, okay? And then you're going to take the juice from these clams, right? And you're going to pour that in there. It's going to cool everything down, you know what I'm saying? Now make sure you leave your finger on that lid. You don't want to get the clams in there. You know why you don't want to get the clams in there? Because a lot of people make this mistake. They'll put the clams in there too early. And it gets all boily, right? It's all boiling like crazy. And then the clams get all rubbery. You know what I'm talking about? They get overcooked. It's like chewing little pieces of rubber bands. You know what I mean? And listen, rubber bands and linguine is definitely not as good as clams and linguine. You know what I mean? You're going to need a lot more brioche if you get that. You know what I'm saying? So we put the clams in right at the very end because they're already cooked. You know what I'm saying? They just need to warm up, okay? They just need to warm up. Don't be a numbnuts, all right? So we're going to let that cook. I might even turn it up a little more now. All right, so that it can cool up or warm up that broth there. You know what I'm saying? So now here's where you want to put in your onion powder. And Rick, listen, I know I added this. This wasn't really part of your original recipe, Cousin Ricky, but here's the deal. My wife Carmela came up with putting the onion powder in, and I got to tell you something. It tastes really good. So no offense. I mean no disrespect. I know we monkeyed with your recipe a little bit, but it's delicious, okay? You're going to have to trust me on this. So you put that in, okay? We're also going to put a little bit of the lemon juice in there, right? So we just cut that lemon and squeeze a little bit of that juice. And there it goes. It's going in there, right? Now don't let that cook down too much because you got good broth in there. It's not water, it's broth, right? You don't want to cook that down too much. You'll lose all your stuff. So now we're ready to put in the clams. So there we go. We take this off here. We get those clams out. Make sure you get all of them out, okay? Don't waste those. Those things are beautiful. They're delicious. Don't waste those clams. Get every little piece out. You know, I was thinking just a second ago. You know, Rubbery Clams. That would be a good name for a band, don't you think? The Rubbery Clams? I think that would be pretty good. All right. So now you just really want to get the clams warm. That just takes a minute or two, okay? And now what we do is we drain the pasta. I'm going to do that over here. You know what you use to drain the pasta, right? The sculavas. You use the sculavas to drain the pasta. All right. So now, we're just going to serve this up, okay? We're just going to plate it up. You can turn that off because, again, you don't want the rubbery clams. So you grab yourself a little bit of the linguine. Remember, not spaghetti. Linguine. Look at that. It's beautiful. It's al dente. I think that means, I think that's named after a guy named Al Dente who really liked his pasta, you know, not too mushy. You know, I went to school with Al Dente. He was amazing. All right, and then, let me get a little spoon. There we go. You get a little spoon. You put this on there like this. You see this? I hope you're seeing this. This is beautiful. You put that on there. Just like so. I'll make another one for my beautiful wife, Carmela. Like so. And there it is. Easy. Piece of cake. Beautiful, delicious clams linguine. You want to put a little Parmigiano Reggiano on there? That's up to you. I'm not going to judge. You know what I'm saying? I hope you enjoyed this little cooking demonstration. And listen, eat good, live good, and don't be a numbnuts, all right? I'll see you later.